Some people in New York City are beginning to grow increasingly nervous about a potential tax hike that the mayor says is meant to serve as a backup plan if a proposed tax on the wealthy fails to pass. Many residents are questioning the approach, insisting that there must be another way to solve the city's budget problems without placing additional financial pressure on ordinary people. Frustration has started to grow as more details about the proposal come to light, leaving many feeling uncertain about what the future may hold. Angry and disappointed New Yorkers have begun gathering in the streets and on the steps of City Hall to protest what they see as broken promises. The mayor had previously assured residents that any new taxes would only target the wealthy. However, critics now argue that the plan appears to be shifting toward working-class voters who are already struggling with an ongoing affordability crisis. Protesters believe they are being asked to carry the burden for policies that were originally marketed as something entirely different. According to the mayor's office, the new taxes are necessary to help fund a wide range of free public programs that would be available to almost everyone living in the city. Critics point out that some of these programs would even be accessible to people residing in the country without legal status. As these proposals begin to take shape, some observers have started to warn that the policies resemble a form of economic experimentation that could permanently change how the city operates. Tenants, local officials, and community organizations have joined together to voice their opposition outside City Hall. Their protests come only weeks after the mayor introduced a plan intended to close a massive $5.4 billion gap in New York City's budget. Many residents say they feel blindsided by the proposal and believe the city leadership is moving forward with policies that could significantly impact homeowners, renters, and small businesses alike. In neighborhoods like Southeast Queens, dozens of homeowners gathered to express what they described as an emergency response to the mayor's proposal. Many of them argue that the city government should focus on doing its job without constantly turning to taxpayers for more money. Some residents expressed anger that the policies are being driven by leaders who they believe have never had to personally struggle with financial hardship. For property owners, the proposed taxes raise serious concerns about how they will maintain their buildings. One landlord explained that if taxes increase, she may no longer be able to afford major improvements like replacing a broken boiler or installing a new roof. Instead, she would be forced to rely on temporary fixes just to keep her property functional. Situations like this, critics say, show how tax increases can ripple outward and eventually affect tenants as well. Behind these debates lies a broader concern about the city's expanding system of government-funded programs. Critics argue that once these programs are created, they become extremely difficult to scale back because entire industries begin to form around receiving government funding. Over time, the system becomes self-sustaining as more funding leads to more dependence, which then requires even more funding to maintain. Meanwhile, many residents say the city is failing to address the underlying affordability crisis affecting everyday New Yorkers. The statistics paint a troubling picture. A record 350,000 people are currently experiencing homelessness in the city, and roughly 1 out of every 3 residents spends more than half of their income on rent. Combined with rising grocery prices and other living costs, many households feel they have little room left in their budgets for additional taxes. For many protesters gathered outside City Hall, the fear is simple. One more financial burden could push them out of the city entirely. Some residents believe they are already close to the breaking point, and any new tax increase might be the final factor forcing them to move elsewhere. At the same time, others warn that even if the proposed property tax increases are delayed, they may eventually return in another form. Another issue complicating the situation is the shrinking number of wealthy residents in the city. Critics argue that the idea of funding large public programs by taxing millionaires only works if those millionaires remain in the city. If taxes become too high, they may simply relocate, leaving a smaller group of taxpayers responsible for supporting the same level of spending. Even when taxes target wealthy individuals or corporations, critics argue that the costs rarely stay confined to those groups. Business owners may raise prices to offset higher taxes, landlords may increase rent, and companies may pass expenses on to customers. In the end, many believe the overall affordability equation remains largely unchanged for everyday residents. Despite the controversy, city officials continue to promote several new programs designed to help families. One initiative focuses on expanding government-funded childcare services for parents of young children. Officials say the program will allow families of different income levels to apply for assistance, regardless of occupation or immigration status, as long as they live in the designated neighborhoods. Supporters of the plan argue that expanded childcare could make it easier for parents to return to the workforce while saving thousands of dollars per year. However, critics point out that the first phase of the program includes only 2,000 available seats in a city with a population of more than 8 million. This has led some residents to question whether the benefits justify the costs being imposed on taxpayers. Opponents also worry about oversight and accountability. They argue that large government programs can sometimes attract fraud or mismanagement if proper safeguards are not in place. Without strict monitoring systems, critics say it may become difficult to ensure that public funds are actually reaching the people the programs were designed to help. At the political level, disagreements between city and state leadership have further complicated the issue. The mayor has pushed for higher taxes on wealthy individuals and corporations as the primary solution, while the governor has expressed opposition to certain tax increases. This tension has created uncertainty about which proposals will ultimately move forward. For many residents, the debate has become a larger question about the city's economic future. Supporters of the new programs argue they represent an investment in families and social stability. Critics counter that the city may be committing itself to spending levels that are difficult to sustain. As the argument continues, New Yorkers are left wondering whether these policies will strengthen the city or push its financial system toward an increasingly uncertain path.